Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review video. Now today, finally we're taking a look at none other than the SooSoo Toys Detective Vigilante, aka Robin from Titans. Y'all know I'm a massive fan of the show, so of course I was eagerly awaiting his arrival. Now hopefully the other characters from Titans such as Superboy, Crypto, and of course Nightwing aren't too far behind, because SooSoo Toys is currently the only company making Titans figures. Now I got mine from Comic Sanctorum. I have included the link in the description below, but do bear in mind this is third party, it's unlicensed, it's unofficial product. This is not a promotional video, this is a review on a product I picked up for my own personal collection. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here of course we have the box art for Robin. Right up here on the front we've got a massive image of Brenton Thwaites in the Robin suit, and it looks awesome. It's done in this soft oil painting style aesthetic. We've got Detective Vigilante on the front, on the side, and all of the relevant legal information on the back. Now, on the inside, we have another shot of Robin. This one, I'm pretty sure, is one of the promo images they were using to hype up the series for Season 1. Now, immediately upon opening the box, we are greeted by this little care slip, just letting you know to be careful with the various armor pieces. We'll touch more on this when we get the figure himself out here. Now, Toys Era also made a Titans Robin. Will this one be superior? I hope to find out throughout the course of the video. But y'all know I love SooSoo Toys. They are my favorite third-party company. And it seems with this guy, for good reason, I am loving the look and feel of him in hand. Now he does of course come with one tray, so what we are going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Here we have all of the parts and pieces that go with Robin. Now starting off with the display base first, it's the usual SooSoo Toys style. I really like these. There's a Robin logo on the top, it's done in a beautiful gold, and it also has a little bit of blood spritzed over the top, and the same thing can be said for the green sections. Plus there is some weathering on the surface as well. The cool thing about all of these SooSoo Toys display bases, if you happen to only be a SooSoo Toys collector, is that they all match. They've used this style from the very beginning. There's also a crotch grabber up on top there. Now he does come with the Nightwing staff. Now this is a little bit challenging to get into his hands, so I would advise heating them up first, because this isn't made out of die cast like the Toys Era one. It's sculpted and painted plastic, so it feels a little bit more fragile. It's still long enough and it'll definitely get the job done. Now, speaking of the hands, they are all uniquely sculpted and painted, specifically for Robin, as you'd expect, but they are made out of a sturdy style plastic, so you absolutely will have to heat these up, because you'll do some damage to that staff if you don't. Now you do get 3 of these little Robin throwing gadgets. I don't know if he calls them batarangs still, but either way you get 3 of them. These are the pieces that in the show pop out of his chest logo on his armor. Obviously the figure can't do that, but you do get 3 of them in case you happen to lose one. You also get 2 head sculpts. This one was a surprise to me. I didn't really study the promo photos, so I didn't know if this came with Nightwing or with Robin, but I'm glad to see it here. It's a completely unmasked sculpt, so if you wanted to, you could totally kit bash a regular Dick Grayson. In terms of the likeness, I think it's there. The paint applications, the skin texture, the hair, it all looks fantastic. Now you also get a fully masked Robin head sculpt, as you'd expect. I'm pretty sure this is the exact same sculpt as this one, it's just wearing the mask. So all of the good stuff that I just said regarding this sculpt can immediately be applied to this one right here. Now for the comparison that I'm pretty sure you all have been waiting for, here is the Toys era head sculpt. In terms of likeness, it just was never really there. It looks nothing like the actor. Also, the neck is just a little bit longer on this one right here. Yes, because you can remove this piece in its entirety, you should be able to use this on the Toys era body, so we will be trying that out a little bit later in the video. But overall, right off the bat, yes, I am totally preferring the SooSoo Toys head sculpt, and I'm pretty sure y'all will agree with me on that. It's one of their best. What we are going to do now, though, is get Robin himself out here and take a closer look. Here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And yeah, SooSoo Toys have done it again. This Robin figure is spectacular. He's everything that I was hoping he would be and more. Now I knew that they were going full fabric on the outfit, but I didn't know exactly how that was going to work because his outfit is so segmented. There are so many parts and panels that have to come together to make up this suit. But they did an amazing job, and you'll see that in much more detail in just a second. Then we get to the body. I'm pretty sure this is an all-new body for them. It's slightly taller, a little bit lankier, but also still relatively buff. He's got the big broad shoulders, the big biceps, but then he slims down towards the waist. It looks almost exactly like Brenton Thwaites looks in the suit in the show. I'm super impressed with the proportions on this body. Overall, this right here is the ultimate Titans Robin. Until maybe Hot Toys or another company decides to tackle him, I'm pretty sure this one is going to be the go-to for people to pick up for their collections. What we are going to do now, though, is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. Here we have him up close and personal. Now don't worry, in just a second we will be swapping out the head sculpt so you can see what the unmasked one looks like on the body. So far I have been very impressed. One thing that they've absolutely nailed here is the texture of the fabric. We will discuss that a lot more in just a second. Now, starting off with the head sculpt, I know we've already seen them separately, but it's worth looking at how they fit and sit on the body. Some people initially said the neck was slightly too long. I don't see that here. I think it's all proportionate, it sits perfectly, the armor cups it at just the right spot, and you are still getting a significant range of motion because this armor piece has been engineered to move with the sculpt. So yeah, I'm very impressed with the likeness and also the way the head sculpt can move. As for the armor, this is the only sort of hard rubbery style piece. The rest of the outfit is full fabric. And y'all know I love it when they make these outfits entirely out of fabric. That means we can go crazy with the posability and not have to worry about creasing or tearing or any damage. This feels like a very sturdy material, and it also looks identical to the texture used on the screen-used suit. It's just now shrunken down to a smaller scale. He has the various patches and panels and even these little rib sections both down here and up at the shoulder. It's all incredibly faithful to what we saw on screen, but still feels very sturdy in 1/6 scale. Now there is something you have to watch out for. If you remember back in the unboxing segment, there were a couple of pieces that were highlighted. Be careful when you are moving these pieces around because they are separate entities and they can float, but they aren't removable. These pieces up at the shoulders, mind you, they are a little bit more fragile, so do be careful not to nick them or pull them off when you are moving the joints. But other than that, he feels super sturdy. I also love the way the chest plate is painted. It's got this darker wash down in the crevices. The metallics look suitably metallic, and there is also some dry brushing just on the high spots to bring out a little bit more detail. They've also enlarged the Robin R so it's the exact same size and shape as his throwing Rs, versus the Toys era one where this one was just a little bit smaller than the throwing versions. Now coming down to the belt, it's a floating piece, so you can move it around depending on your posing, or you can move it up and down depending on the height you'd like to have it sit at. It also is painted in an awesome metallic gold. As for the legs, there is a ton going on here. I can't imagine how difficult it was for SooSoo Toys to get this outfit made, because it's not as easy as just printing the textures and colors on the surface. These are all individual patches and panels sewn together to make up the suit, and he looks incredible. This is the absolute best way of doing it. As for the knee pads, we do have this pleathery style material, but it's a very small piece, so I'm not really worried about degradation over time. He also has some weathering on the surface. Coming down to the boots, it is of course a split cut boot design. Thank goodness, I love when they do this. That means maximum ankle articulation, but still when you pull down this upper piece, it does a fairly decent job of still looking like a solid boot. There are also multiple parts and panels with some gold up the top. I also really like the design here, how it flares up around the side, and he does have that ninja style split down the front of his shoe. The base, or the soles underneath, are just completely flat. Now, as I said earlier, I do want to take a look at the unmasked head sculpt on the body, so there you have it. And it looks equally as good as the other one, in my opinion. It is the exact same sculpt, he's just not wearing the mask. Now, some people have said that his expression kind of makes him look a little bit stunned. Yeah, from certain angles I can totally see that, but when you get him posed up in the display and you're looking at him from a normal viewing distance, trust me, the likeness is there. From a technical perspective, it's well sculpted, well painted, and it might just be one of SooSoo Toys' finest works to date, as I said earlier in the video. Now, I'm pretty sure you'll want to see what the SooSoo Toys Robin head sculpts look like on the Toys Era body, so don't worry, we will be covering that just after the comparisons. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have the SooSoo Toys Robin on the left and the Toys Era version on the right. Now, I don't mean to speak ill of the Toys Era one, because it was an awesome placeholder for the time being. It was just keeping that spot warm on the shelf for this SooSoo Toys figure, because it is so far superior. The body, the proportions, it's a little bit bigger and more bulky, which he was in the show. The head sculpts are night and day, which you'll see when we do the body swaps, when we pop the different head sculpts on the various different bodies, and then we get to the suit itself. It's actual fabric versus having that rubbery style material. The armor fits and looks better on the body, and just overall, the presence is there for the SooSoo Toys figure, versus the Toys Era one, which, as I said, was an awesome placeholder. Hey, if you still prefer the Toys Era, then all the power to you, but for me personally, the SooSoo figure is the way to go. Now, I'm still not exactly sure which is the preferred Batman that people are pairing up with this Robin, but my favorite Batman of all time is Batfleck, and this just works. They look awesome standing side by side. Now, yes, Robin is slightly taller, but this is a older, more grown-up version of Dick Grayson, so it makes total sense. I'm really excited for the Nightwing because he has a little bit more of a simple suit design, just like BVS Batfleck here, so I think they are going to blend and mesh perfectly. But either way, if this is the Batman you want to pair with this Robin, yeah, it totally works. Or maybe you prefer a video game style version of Batman. The cool thing about this Robin is his outfit is simple, yet it still does have the various parts and panels and also the armor on the front, so he can blend in my opinion, with Arkham Knight Batman really well. Plus, we don't actually have a Robin from the Arkham games yet. They have teased Nightwing, and who knows, maybe one day we'll get a Tim Drake Robin as well, but you could totally make this work on your shelf. Now, this one could work very nicely because, of course, Deathstroke was in Season 2 of Titans, so you could absolutely have these two fighting in your display. That's the one thing that I love about Arkham Origins Deathstroke is the design is so universal. I've seen people display him in the Arkham display where he should totally go, but I've also seen him in their Justice League display because the armor is almost identical to what we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League. It is quite significantly different to the outfit for Titans, but you could absolutely make it work if this is a matchup that you wanted to have in your display. Now for a much closer up comparison, here we have the two suits without the head sculpts. I've done that on purpose because we will be swapping the sculpts between the two in the very next clip. Now there are two very different design philosophies with these suits. The SooSoo Toys one has gone for supreme accuracy over anything else, whereas the Toys Era one has gone for that rubbery style textured look. They both look great, don't get me wrong, they are very clearly both Robin from Titans, but I have to give the win to SooSoo Toys just for the sheer accuracy. I like the texture of the materials a lot better. This one still looks and feels pretty darn good in hand, but the SooSoo feels more like an official product, whereas the Toys Era one feels a lot more third party. It feels like they've cheaped out on the type and quality of materials at play here. Also, as I said, it's a lot more rubbery, so when it comes to posability, you're not really going to be able to leave this one in crazy poses for a long period of time, compared to the SooSoo Toys one, which I would be more than comfortable doing. Now as for the chest armor, it is slightly different. The Toys Era one is a little bit wider and a little bit shorter, and the R is in a completely different spot, and it is a lot smaller. The one on the left here, being SooSoo, looks far more accurate and way more in proportion to the rest of the body. The belt also sits a little bit lower versus the Toys Era belt. If you push it down, you expose that unsightly seam at the waist, so you kind of have to have it riding a little bit high. Now they do both have fully wired capes. They are roughly the same exact size and shape, whereas the Toys Era one up the top here has this pleathery style section, and the SooSoo is just entirely made of fabric. It is more accurate to have the fabric straps and clips versus this section, which maybe looks a little bit better, but it isn't as accurate to the screen use suit. I also prefer the color and texture of the yellow inside the SooSoo cape, its actual proper material, where once again this is that rubbery style fabric. The wires are equally as strong as one another, one going around the outside, then one going around the base, and the exact same thing can be said for Toys Era. As promised, here we have the SooSoo Toys Robin head sculpt on the Toys Era body. Honestly, it doesn't look all that bad. The neck is almost the exact same size as the Toys Era one, as you saw earlier. It's just a teeny tiny little bit longer, so it sits up ever so slightly higher, but to be honest, it does work, and it immediately upgrades the shelf presence of this particular Robin suit because the likeness is just so much better. So I can imagine that some people will take the Dick Grayson head sculpt, and pop it on this body, because I know that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in my display. And then, I don't know why you would do this, but you totally can. Here's the Toys Era head sculpt on the SooSoo body. It sits a little bit lower just because of the shorter neck, but I never really loved this sculpt. It looks like a generic Robin. I mean, from certain angles you can kinda start to see the semblance of a likeness, but front on it just simply isn't there. It doesn't really fit or work as well on this body either because the face is slightly bigger than the SooSoo Toys sculpts. So if it were me, I would simply take this particular sculpt and put it back in the box. Just going over articulation on Robin. Now bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm gonna be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now starting off with the head sculpt, it is on a fixed neck, so it does get a little bit more limited in terms of forward and back, swivel and pivot side to side. The arms will go up to about there, Just be careful of those gold pieces like we discussed earlier. Forward and back on soft ratchets, butterfly joint at the shoulder, swivel at the bicep, a double bend at the elbow, and of course a regular 1/6 scale wrist peg. The torso does have crunch, forward and back, swivel and pivot side to side. I also like that the armor is a separate overlay to this underpiece, so you do get significantly more crunch. The legs will go forward to about there, they will go out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, a double bend at the knee, and of course a split cut boot design for a ball joint at the ankle. Just wrapping up on the SooSoo Toys Detective Vigilante, aka Robin from Titans. Now, unequivocally, this guy, to me, is the new king of the SooSoo Toys family. They've nailed it. From the outfit, to the body, to the head sculpts, to the accessories, this guy is first rate. They've done some amazing releases in the past, but this one takes the cake. Now, how does he stack up to the Toys era Robin? I'm pretty sure I've given you an idea throughout the course of the video. This one destroys it. He's far superior. The proportions of the body, he looks way more accurate, specifically to the actor who plays Robin in Titans, and then we get to the outfit being full fabric versus rubber, and the head sculpts, it's just night and day. These ones are better. So if you're on the fence, if you're waiting for this one to drop before deciding which one to get, well, in this instance, it absolutely paid off. This one is the way to go. Now, I am hoping that their Nightwing comes out very soon, and Superboy, and they have teased Beast Boy and Raven, so it hopefully won't be long until we get the rest of the team. But for now, I'm very happy with this Robin figure. Now, I got mine from Comic Sanctorum. Do bear in mind, it's third party, it's unlicensed, it's unofficial product. Also, while you are down in the description, check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.